Hey, what's up, everybody? DB back again. I just finished a video, Afnan Silver Supremacy. Go check that out. But this here has nothing to do with actual colognes itself. This has to do with some fragrance community issues I think needs to be resolved within this community. I had a long talk with George Zaharoff last night. We talked a little over an hour. Me and George had our issues. They're long gone. They're squashed. Nonetheless, it was a great conversation about what he thought. Maybe I thought some of the things in the fragrance community have gone wrong, and he had a lot of great responses to the same thing. The fragrance community has gotten far beyond. When I joined the fragrance community, I was into fragrances about a year or so before I got into all this Facebook mumbo jumbo, going into these groups and whatnot else. But I found these groups. I did Big Beard Beat. It was the first guy I ever watched, and nothing racial, no offense, but black folk wear cologne better than white folk, and I had to learn that. I bought a lot of fragrances that Big Beard B recommended, and I'm like, I mean, literally out of 100 of them, maybe 4 of them stuck to me very well. And I know 100's an exaggeration, but probably 30% of what he recommended really stuck to me real well. They were great fragrances, but anyway, so I digress. I moved on and moved on to some other people who were similar in skin to me. We all wear colognes different. So the problem is that when you get into these Facebook groups, it is almost impossible to find this to be a community. Some of them call themselves fragrance brotherhoods. It's really hard to consider any of these brotherhood whatsoever. And a lot of these groups, what you have is an obscene amount of competition of people who constantly suck the communities dry. They go out and I have no issues with people selling fragrances in these Facebook groups whatsoever. The problem I do have is when you suck the life out of everybody like a vampire and don't give nothing back to this community. Okay. You're setting, and there's a lot of people in here, and I'm not dropping any dimes in here. Nobody's going to get their name mentioned in my videos. We have to move beyond that. But there's a lot of people in these groups, in these fragrance communities, that make a lot of money a day selling selling their colognes. Once again, I have no problem with that. But what have you done for the community? Have you given away a free bottle? What about every 10 bottles you sell, giving away a free bottle to somebody who don't have it like we do? I give away a lot more than I get in. That's just the honest to God's truth. A friend of mine sent me 30 decants. That's as close as I ever come to getting anywhere near what I've given out. It's not being braggadocious at all. I'm not bragging just because I want people to think I'm a good guy. I am a good guy. But we do it out of the kindness of my heart. Half these people don't even come out and put my name on Facebook or anywhere. I don't care if they do or if they don't. I do it because I feel that we as reviewers are obligated to help one another. Instead, it's become this over crazy competition between all of us. The standard is set at 1,000 subs. Some of us are so dishonest to get to 1,000 subs so we become relevant that we're missing the whole point of what we do. And a lot of your top tier fragrance reviewers have so much missed the mark about what we're trying to do. It's pathetic. They've sold out to fame. They've sold out to fortune, which I don't want to say fortune in a way that they're rich, but they sold out to being paid for things. And I don't want to put names out there, but George said some company or some reviewer said, $30,000 to mention your fragrance. That's insane, dude. That's retarded. Okay? Do you think by any means that Afnan called me up and said, Dwayne, will you review my fragrance? Nope. Matter of fact, there hasn't been any single person in the fragrance community that has handed me anything and said, Dwayne, review this. Primarily because I'm not at that 1,000 subscriber mark, but also because I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm not going to be the kind of guy where people are going to pay me to review things. I don't want it. I'm sorry, but when you're paid to review something, you've got that in the back of your mind that there's money involved in this. I can't be mean or cruel. That's why I prefer to buy, if at all possible, what I review. Happy Land gives me their fragrances in all transparency at a really low rate that he's not really making, if anything, off of it. But I feel that if I can buy it, I'm more, I spent my money, so I'm going to be able to make a clean, clear, and concise record of how I feel about the fragrance. So the top guys have sold out. These guys got into this game well into the good amount of time. They did their thing, and I have respect for that. I'm not bashing these guys at all. But the buck stops there. These guys are the guys that have to put their foot down and get back to the roots of why we do this to begin with. Too many of these guys pump up these fragrances so high, and dude, a lot of these just stink, man. You wonder why you ever look around and see certain fragrances just constantly being sold and circulated. You know why that is? Because these top tier reviewers get on there and talk about how glorious it is because they've been paid X amount of money and given a free bottle so they can say, you know, get you to buy. That's the whole thing of this song. I'm not telling you not to listen to the top tier reviewers. Please do. But notice, and you have to understand, listen to how they talk, the disclaimers they put out. If they're giving the bottle away, 90% of the time that bottle has been given to them. They didn't really want it anyway. A lot of people say they give the bottle away because they just think it's the best thing to do. That's horse crap. I'm not giving my bottles away unless I don't like them. I will happily give decants away and stuff of that nature. If I don't like them, I'll try to swap and find something else. But listen, you guys in the top tier reviewers, I'm not going to mention your names because I don't want people to say Dwayne hates. I get so sick of hearing, you know, DB hates this person. DB's just jealous. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to get myself to that 1,000 review mark just because I want to be relevant. I am relevant, and I'm only at 121 subs. I'm not an influencer, but I'm relevant. There's a difference. Your top tier guys are your influencers with 50, 30, 50, 80, 100,000 subscribers. They're the ones who get these products moving, and that's what it is. It's business. I didn't get into this for business. This is not a business for me. If I can help it, it won't be a business for me. The day that I take money from these companies to review something, somebody needs to put me in check. And I know quite a few that would love to put me in check, trust me. So, you guys at the top, you top tier reviewers, need to start putting your foot down and taking responsibility for the chaos you created in this fragrance community. Okay? I'm not saying this is all y'all's fault, but a lot of this stuff rests on your shoulders. You've exploited the fragrance community. You've done what you needed to do. You know you've got people eating out of the palm of your hand, and you do nothing to stop the chaos in these fragrance communities. You just let it happen. There's so much hate and dishonesty in the fragrance communities anymore. I get tired of looking on these bad Apple sites, and there's all these people conning people out of stuff. I mean, this is just crazy. And yet, nobody wants to take responsibility for the chaos they created. You need to. You guys that are in these fragrance communities that do nothing but sell and do nothing but like a leech and a vampire in these fragrance communities, you need to do one of two things. Either start giving back or get the hell out. That's really all there is to it. We don't need you in these fragrance communities sucking everybody dry and going home eating, you know, sirloin steaks, you know, or you know, T-bone steaks every night while we sit back here and you know, we don't get to reap the rewards. And it's not jealousy. It's just the fact that that's what you're doing. You're exploiting. You're living high off of everybody else, and you give nothing back. Start giving back. I challenge you guys. And I've got friends who do this that I love to death that sell colognes. But there are some of my friends have hooked me up with some major cheap stuff. They can't take a solid hit, but I probably get it at their price. That's respectable, but that's still not giving back. Why don't you come up out of your pockets and start giving back to people? That's a challenge that needs to be accepted in this fragrance community. There's so much hate and ignorance inside these fragrance communities because it's become such a harsh competition. This reviewer, that reviewer, blah, blah, blah. I can't stand it, blah, blah, blah. You'll know when a fragrance reviewer is in this for love, or if a fragrance reviewer is in this for notoriety or any other reason. And I'm here to tell you, 5 out of 10 of these fragrance reviewers are not in it for anything else but pure inner self gratification. That's it. They want to get to that 1,000 sub marks where people are sending them free colognes they can review and they keep them, called fragrance whores. And that's what they're in it for. That's it. Some of these guys do give a lot away. I won't mention a certain name, but it starts with Cali. He gives a lot of stuff away. Why he does it is, that's his business. He's giving it away. You know, out of his own, buying stuff out of his own pocket, giving away free bottles of niche fragrances can only be respected. That's somebody, you know, rather how I feel about him personally, how I feel about his page to begin with is irrelevant. He's giving back to the community. You know, these top tier guys should be looking at us smaller tier guys, these guys with under 1,000 subs, and be trying to do whatever we can to help each other out. Instead, you're comfortable living up in your high horse while everybody else is down here fighting, and you know, you're like the officers in the military. And being a military vet myself, I can attest to this full-heartedly. There's guys in there we call butter bars, and they're second lieutenants. And these guys do nothing on the battlefield for the most part. They're not in the trenches. They're not fighting the wars. They're setting up there telling other people how to fight the wars. That's how these top tier reviewers have become. People that are setting up on their high horse trying to tell us how to run our channels and trying to influence how we run our channels when all in all, you're not down in these trenches anymore. These trenches that we have now are not the trenches when you started. There was no trenches really when you started. Maybe some of you top tier reviewers ought to get into these fragrance communities and just sit in there and don't say a thing. Just watch. And watch all the chaos that's created, all the blood sucking that's created in these fragrance communities. It's insane, man. It's insane. So we need to really start taking a look at ourselves and why do we really do what we do? Are we doing this because we love fragrances? That's me. I love fragrances. And I had no intentions in doing this until, you know, roughly a dozen people just said I ought to. And I thought about it and I said, what would it hurt? I knew that when I got into this reviewing that I wasn't going to be popular. I wasn't going to shoot up to 1,000 subs within 3 or 4 months. I knew that. Matter of fact, if you watch my video when I posted that I made it to 100 subs, that's where I thought I'd be and stay. To me, that was a great celebration. That's where I wanted to be. If 100 people are watching me make a fragrance review, God bless you. I get compliments. Swear to God, I don't understand why people think that I'm even remotely a good reviewer, but I'll take it. Maybe it's the honesty. I'll take it. I don't know. I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart that I'm at 121 and you know, I'm still climbing. A lot of people say I'll climb higher. If so, man, be it. If not, so be it, man. This is fun. I enjoy it. The companies that have reached out to me and sent me, samples, that's all I ever really require. Just some samples of stuff, man, just so I can get the juice. It's all about the juice. It ain't got nothing to do with the presentation. I could care less. So, hey, this is my challenge to the fragrance community. You know, I made this challenge the last time, and I lost 3 subscribers right when that video was over. Like, I seen that it had literally 3 views, and then I lost 3 subscribers. You know why that is? They didn't want the challenge. That way they can say, I didn't hear the challenge, DB. Yeah, you did. Won't we start giving back? Every one of you guys out there that are in this fragrance community as a reviewer who do not give back need to start giving back. I'm not going to shout anybody out in here. You all have heard it. I know there's at least 15 different fragrance reviewers that are on my channel. I know it for a fact. So I'm asking you, are you giving back? If not, what can you give back? Start giving back, because eventually you're going to get to that 1,000 reviewer mark and things are going to start pouring in. Would you rather have said, I've given back and I'll continue to give back? Or would you rather people look at you and say, oh, now he's at the 1,000 subscriber mark getting all this free stuff. Now he wants to give back. Get ahead of the game, man. Just start helping people out. Find reviewers that aren't as lucky as you are. You know, find them and say, hey, you know, what can I do to help you out? Is there anything I can do? Is there a certain fragrance you're looking for? Maybe I can hook you up with a decant. Heck, maybe I'll just feel lucky today and hook you up with a whole bottle, a partial bottle, so you can review it, give you some good content. That's what I like to do. I've done that. I've done it with TLTG. I did it with Cheap Sense. I did it with Bro Sense. Because at that time I wasn't reviewing. I wanted to see them guys have something that I had, get them into the niche world, get them, you know, having stuff to review that they didn't review, and thankfully, and I'm proud that when I did, they got a lot of views from it. I'm not going to say I launched anybody's career. I don't feel like I have. I feel like I contributed to some people's views, and to me that I like that. That's what it's all about. So. Give back. That's my challenge. It's time. Give back. And you need to start calling people out who aren't. The ones that are leeches in these communities need to go. If they're not doing a proper service and not giving back to these communities, they got to go. We need to start phasing them out. We need to start getting back to the point where, if me and George talked about it, if all of us would get on the same page and do this for what it's meant to be for good and the love of fragrances, do you realize how powerful and influential we all could be? Not just a handful of us. We all could be influential. Maybe we need to start a board of trusted reviewers. You know, be a credible board and just have a bunch of reviewers that we say, hey, you know, we endorse these guys. They're great reviewers, and people will flock to those reviewers because they know they're great reviewers. Maybe that's what we ought to do. Maybe a bunch of us in the fragrance community just need to make a board. Maybe once a year, do like a Grammy show for influencers. Guys that give back to this community. I've done so much for this community. Maybe we ought to reward them for that. Right now, it's just an all-out competition. Butchering. Who can I get to first? Who can review it first? Nobody cares. So thank you for the conversation, George. Appreciate it, man. A whole hour. Overall, a good guy. You know what I mean? We're not perfect. Nobody is. And if you claim to be, then please let me know so I can pack my bags and get ready to go to heaven, because you're my creator. And I didn't know you were here yet. So it's DB. And I just hooked you up with some good knowledge. Okay? Stay with it, guys. Stick with it. Find yourself a reviewer that you really can relate to. Stick with them. Give them all the love and support that they need. And as a reviewer, start giving away some stuff. Help people out, man. Sell it mad cheap. Do something. I mean mad cheap. I'm talking rock bottom prices if that's what it takes. But we need to give back. Have a good one, y'all.